Okay, so I made this video a couple days ago actually, and I just wanted to wait so I could rewatch it because I made it like 4 in the morning, or I don't remember. It was late when I finally finished it. But anyway, I noticed something when I was rewatching it that I missed. I made the new Corey Taylor Kanye West video, and I noticed a theme of the word Lizzie, and then I thought of Queen Elizabeth, and I talked about it in the last video, but I noticed on this guy Michael Brown, whatever, he died 59 days before the other Michael Brown, and Ferguson died, the black guy, whatever. But it says here, several of his songs have entered the American repertoire, including Lizzie Borden and the John Birch Society. And I was like, wow, really, Lizzie? And I looked up Lizzie, and I found a lot of Lizzies that were significant to the Civil War. But also, I was just whatever researching, and I'm going to talk more about the Lizzies here in a second. But so the names of the American Civil War, I just typed that in, thinking maybe I could find something about Lizzie and being a popular name. But as I'm scrolling down here, I noticed the war between the states. It says European diplomacy produced a similar formula for avoiding the phrase civil war. Queen Victoria's proclamation of British neutrality referred to hostilities, blah, 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 blah. But I realized she was the queen during the American Civil War, so I clicked on her. And of course, she died on 122. So, the 122nd day is 5/2. Princess Charlotte was just born on 5/2. The 52nd prime is 239. If you do it as a date, it's 923. Pope Francis, his name adds up to 122. Kansas City adds up to 122. San Francisco adds up to 122. A ton of things that they've been foreshadowing. We've been talking about 52 like crazy. But anyway, I was scrolling down, and I read, so her husband died in 1861 even. So interesting. But maybe I'll come back to that. It says that her reign of 63 years and 7 months, which is longer than that of any other British monarch and the longest of any female monarch in history, is known as the Victorian era. So she was queen for 63 years, 7 months, but is actually, if you go over here and then you type in the date, June 20th, 1837 to 122, 1901. Okay, so I typed in the date here, 620, whatever, and it's 63 years, 7 months, and 2 days. And this is really interesting because Queen Elizabeth is in her 63rd year as queen right now. So I just typed in to see, like, whatever. So she became queen on 2/6 of 1952. And if you go to September 8th of 2015, see what it takes you to. It takes you to the exact amount. So this would be a tie of the longest reign of any British monarch and any female monarch in the world or whatever. So very interesting. And the reason this is so significant to me is because the Queen is 89 years old this year. So not only is 98 the mirror of 89, but in England they write it. That's how they write it. They write the day first or whatever. So it's literally 8/9. So very, very interesting. So that means on 9/9, Queen Elizabeth will be the longest reigning British monarch of all time. And I've talked about this day being, I just feel like it's a significant day when you convert it to Julian Gregorian. It's actually the same as 922. I've talked a lot about that number to go along with the 923. Also, the 99th day of the year is 4/9, and September 23rd is its mirror day, where there's 99 days left until the end of the year. It's the time travel day when in the Stephen King book 11/22/63, so funny, I guess, 63, but it's where he goes back in time to stop the JFK assassination, and he always has to go back to 9/9 of 1958. So, I mean, I don't know. I've been talking about the Queen for a long time now, since probably back in like March. So I don't even know how I even stumbled upon it. Something to do with Michael Jordan and basketball even. But anyway, let's look at some of these Lizzies then. So this one is Lizzie Borden. Actually, before that, I wanted to show September 9th then. So it is the 252nd day, 2552, the mirrors. It's all about 52, it seems. There's also 113 days left. So even Michael Jordan, when you add up Michael Jordan's name, it adds up to 113. And Michael Jordan is 52 years old. He owns the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, he's been in the news like crazy. You got Space Jam. He was on the Dream Team where he was number 9, and then he's known for being number 23 elsewhere, so 9 and 23. They even show the two jerseys together on the movie Space Jam. They don't have the 45 and the 12 together, so it's 9 and 23 on the movie Space Jam even. So, let's see. Moving on here then. All right, and you know what? I'm just going to actually make a whole nother video about Lizzie because there's some other things I want to talk about here. So I apologize. I'm not trying to set you up here, but Queen Victoria started her reign on June 20th, 1837. If you go to Queen Elizabeth's birthday, it is 88 years, 10 months, and 1 day away. And Queen Victoria also died 25 years before Queen Elizabeth was born. And Queen Elizabeth became the queen at the age of 25 in 1952. Also kind of interesting, her death to the day that Queen Elizabeth became the queen was 51 years and 15 days, so 5115. So also wanted to point out Queen Victoria, she died at the age of 81, and I've been talking about how 81 and 34 are mirrored years. 1981 was 34 years ago, 1934 was 81 years ago. So interesting, she died at 81. And I've been talking about how it's significant to the Civil War and whatnot, and then her husband dies the same year that the American Civil War began. Let's see, December 14th even, significant day, like Sandy Hook Day and whatnot. But also, she was buried on whatever that is. She was buried on 4/2. And that's interesting because her husband died at the age of 42. And I did the date between her birth and then her husband's death. She was 42 years old when her husband died at 42. But not only that, she was 42 years, 6 months, and 20 days. And remember, she became queen on 6/20 of 1837. 6/20, 1837. Weird. Another thing, I talked about the 81 and 34 and 43 and whatnot. I forgot to add that Victoria actually adds up to 43. And also, I can't believe I never noticed this, she was born on the 144th day of the year in 819. So, interesting, she was 81 years old when she died. The reason that she became the queen was because Princess Charlotte of Wales, the only legitimate grandchild of the king at the time, King George III, she ended up dying. She died, let's see here, at the age of 21, but it says here, Victoria was born 18 months after Charlotte's death. And Victoria became the queen when she was 18 years old. So basically, this lady, the Charlotte even, we've just had a Princess Charlotte born too. But Victoria was born 18 months before her. She became the queen when she was 18 years old. And if that lady wouldn't have died, then she might not have ever became the queen. And she was fifth in line then, behind her dad and his brothers or whatever, to be the next leader or monarch or whatever. So I looked at her dad really quick. And her dad died at the age of 52. He also died, January 23rd, 1820. And his dad was King George III. That would be Victoria's grandpa. And he died January 29th. So he died 6 days after her dad. And he died at the age of 81. I mean, he even got married in the year 1818. Or I guess his wife died in the year 1818. And her name was Charlotte as well. Interesting. And then his coronation was September 22nd, 1761. So 922 and then the 61 again. I mean, how many things I've showed in previous videos and then this? I mean, there's no way. I mean, it has to be planned. There's no way this is all a coincidence. Every time it's a coincidence, I don't think so. Her dad was even buried. Victoria's dad was even buried on the 43rd day of the year. So her dad also was in a hurry to have children after Princess Charlotte died. So basically, he married this lady, and she already had 2 kids at the time. They were Carl, whatever, Sachs, who knows. But look, he died at the age of 52 as well. And then the other one was Theodora here. And she died on September 23rd, 1872. Victoria is also 106 years older than Queen Elizabeth. So, Queen Elizabeth II or whatever. We've been talking about 106, a ton. I mean, it's also the same as 923. Just tons of stuff with it. Interesting. Also, the day that Queen Victoria died then to this year when Queen Elizabeth will tie her for the longest reign or whatever, it is a span of 114 years, 7 months, 17 days. But 114, we've talked about multiple times as well. We're in the 114th Congress. 11 and 4 is 44. Obama's the 44th president. 11-4 is Egyptian Valentine's. There's 57 days left until the end of the year. Obama is the 57th term president. I even believe if you add up, I can't even remember what it was. I just learned it a week or 2 ago, but I think it was Pearl Harbor adds up to 114. The Holocaust adds up to 114. Just a lot of interesting things with it. Even JFK was shot at 411 Elm Street. I've talked about Freddy Krueger. And I think I showed this earlier in the video that Victoria's death to Elizabeth's birth was 25 years, 2 months, 30 days, so 25. But I never realized there's also 9,220 days. Like, take off the 0, it's 922. And 9/9 is the same as 922. So, I mean, just another reason that day is super significant. September 9th. Don't know what'll happen or what, but it's definitely a very significant day this year. I even thought maybe they're going to go from, they consider her reign, Queen Elizabeth, from the day that she is coronated. And so her coronation was 6/2 of 1953, so 62 years ago. But also, if you go to August 9th, 8/9 of 2016, it's 63 years, 2 months, 7 days. So that would be, once again, the tie of Queen Victoria on an 8/9 day. So also, King George III was the previous holder of the longest reigning monarch, and he reigned from October 25th, 1760 to January 29th, 1820, which is a span of 59 years, 3 months, 4 days. Interesting, we've talked about them numbers or whatever, but it's 59 years, 3 months, 4 days. And Queen Victoria became queen on 6/20/1837, and then on 9/24/1896, it was 59 years, 3 months, 4 days. So she tied her dad on 9/24, and Queen Elizabeth is going to tie her on 9/9. And I've talked about how them 3 days, 9/22, 23, and 24, all go together because of Lupercalia. And here's a website even that's not Wikipedia that says on September 9th that Queen Elizabeth will do that. And the reason I'm showing that is because on Wikipedia here, the dates, it says on September 23rd, Victoria passed her grandfather. But if you add up the actual dates, it's not. It's the 24th. King George even became king when he was 22 years, 4 months, 21 days. Queen Elizabeth was born on 4/21. There's a whole bunch of significant stuff with 4/21, so they must love 4/21. He was also born on 6/4, and if you add up the monarchs, according to Wikipedia, Queen Victoria is the 64th, and Queen Elizabeth would be the 69th. But I'm going to leave it at that. I mean, I'm sure there's tons more I can find. Totally significant, and I think this is another reason why 923 is about Queen Elizabeth.